to unlock that, and that's going to require an interface between what we're doing on the recovery side and what we're doing on financial regulation and our banking policies. Angie Selden, who runs a company called Aris Virtual Solutions, explained, where are you, Angie? There you are. She explained how she's creating thousands of call and sales jobs, bringing jobs back to the United States that have gone overseas in the last several years. And she had some very specific ideas about how we could foster more of this reverse job migration, which we're going to take a look at. Which brings us to the export session. One of the things that obviously in a time of fiscal constraint that we're constantly looking for is how we can spur job growth here in the United States without spending a whole lot of government money. We're going to need to put public dollars in, but where can we find leverage? I think everybody agrees that expanding our exports has to be a priority. And this was the major topic when I traveled to Asia several weeks ago. During the session, as I understand it, we heard from Jim Hoffa about the importance of trade strategies that open markets. We heard from Boeing CEO Jim McCurney about the 22,000 small business suppliers that he relies on to make products, and underscoring the fact that if these suppliers, these smaller suppliers, aren't getting credit, it's very hard for him to build products for export. Bob Iger from Disney and other business leaders talked about how we can make our businesses more competitive, and some specific ideas were protecting intellectual property and tax policies to promote innovation here at home. Finally, we heard from a broad cross-section of thinkers about the urgent need for more effective worker training. And Randall Stevenson from AT&T talked about a successful partnership with San Antonio community colleges to train workers for jobs that the company is committed to bringing back from India. And I think we all agreed that we should look to build on these kinds of partnerships to leverage the community college system. We heard from our infrastructure session, we heard that same refrain about the need to train workers effectively. Randy Weingarten of the AFT suggested a specific idea: community schools, especially in rural areas, where parents can get training after hours in the same place where their kids are learning during the day. And I think that's a terrific idea worth exploring. Let me just close by saying this. What was striking is the overlap that existed in a lot of these sessions. When we were in the clean energy section, there was an emphasis on how do we get small businesses and small contractors to get certified and get the financing needed to move forward and take advantage of these clean energy sector opportunities. When we were in the infrastructure section, there was a strong emphasis on needing to plan not just for existing road projects, but also how do we think about the fact that in the future we need a cleaner transportation industry. So there's a lot of overlap between all these different breakout sessions that we engaged in. And it underscores how, despite the fact that we had some breakout sessions, we're going to have to figure out how to break out of these silos and integrate these strategies if we're going to be able to get the most bang for the buck. So overall, we generated a lot of important ideas. Some of them I think we can translate immediately into administration plans and potentially legislation. What I want to do, though, is for the remaining part of this jobs forum, just to call on all of you and to see what kinds of ideas maybe I have not highlighted, things that really stood out in the sessions, or if you didn't have an opportunity to speak, but you've got this burning idea that is really going to set the world on fire. I want to make sure that you've got the opportunity to that you've got the opportunity to lay it out right now. So, yes, and please do me a favor and introduce yourself. Some of you, a lot of you I know, but not everybody in the room knows you.
My name is David Barber from Barber Foods in Portland, Maine. One of the things that we spent a lot of time on was the regulation from our standpoint, and to your point about not creating regulations and realizing the unintended consequences of those. So that's very important to us as a small manufacturer of food in Portland, Maine. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we didn't get out in my session was we employ 750 people. We're self-insured. We spend $4 million every year in healthcare, self-insured, and we develop programs to have our associates be healthier. We've avoided an extra cost this year of 10% in our rise. Normally it's 20%. We kept that down to below 10% by creating programs to keep our associates more healthy. And we are sharing those with anybody that will listen. So we want to make sure that.
Well, this is not a plant, but let me just point out, obviously, the inefficiencies of our current health system are a drag on the economy and a drag on job growth. And if you, as a small business or a large business, are seeing premiums for your employees going up 15, 20% a year, I've had letters from small businesses who said that their policy was jacking up their costs by as much as 48%. In those kinds of situations, you're not going to be able to invest in hiring that new worker because you're trying to keep the worker you got and provide them coverage. So it is very important, I think, for us to take steps both legislatively but also on the, in the private sector to improve prevention, improve wellness, bend the cost curve. I actually think that the legislation that we are working, that as we speak, I hope members of Congress are working on right now, will have that salutary impact. But you're absolutely right that companies like yours, companies like Safeway, have done some very important creative work on your own. And the question is, are there ways that we can further incentivize those practices and spread the word to companies all across the economy that you can save money that in turn can be used to reinvest in your businesses? Yes, sir.
No burning idea, but in reference to silos, is there going to be a document that boils down to different groups so that the people in my group understood what happened in the next group, because it might give us ideas.
We had extensive note-taking in every one of the sessions, and that will be distributed to all of you. And I want to assure you that this is just the start of this interaction that we're having with you. So you will then have the opportunity to continue to refine a lot of these ideas. We'll probably set up some working groups coming out of this, and the input that we're soliciting from you is going to be continuous. All right? Frank?